Some people don't say much. They don't have to explain themselves. They don't feel the need to respond to everything. And most people get that wrong. They think that silence is weakness. That quiet people are not confident. That if someone is not loud, they must be unsure of themselves. But psychology proves something entirely different. Silence is never empty. It's full of thoughts. Full of awareness. Full of control. People who talk a mile a minute are often talking to let off steam. They respond before they think. They say before they understand. But quiet people think before they speak. They pause. They observe. They let the moment pass before they respond. That pause is strength. A person who can control their response controls the situation. They don't give their feelings away easily. They don't put their insecurities out there for everyone to hear. Quiet people listen more than they talk. And when you listen more, you start to see patterns that others don't. You see tone changes. You see discomfort. You see when people's words don't match their actions. That's why quiet people tend to understand people better than loud ones. They don't need attention. They don't need validation. They don't need to prove who they are. They are concerned about who they are becoming. Silence becomes a shield. Not everyone gets access to their thoughts. Not everyone deserves a reaction. This is why quiet people are often misunderstood. People say they've changed. That they've become distant. That they're cold. But the truth is simpler. They've matured. They've learned that not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every emotion needs to be shared. Not every battle needs to be fought. And that awareness slowly builds a stronger personality. Being quiet is not easy. Especially when you feel deeply. Every human has the urge to explain themselves. To defend their intentions. To be understood. But emotional strength begins when you stop needing that. Psychology says that emotional regulation is one of the strongest traits a person can develop. It doesn't mean feeling less. It means managing feelings better. Quiet people feel pain just as intensely. They feel disappointment. Rejection. Loss. But they don't broadcast it. They sit with it. They process it. They learn from it. Most people burn out because they are leaking energy everywhere. They are explaining too much. They are reacting too much. They are fighting too many battles. Quiet people conserve energy. They decide where to put it. They don't react to every provocation. They don't fight meaningless battles. Psychology proves that long-term success goes to those who conserve and direct energy, not those who are intense. Quiet people don't depend on motivation. They depend on routine. They don't need encouragement to keep going. They keep going because they have committed to themselves. They don't share their progress. They build in private. This is why their progress is often overlooked at first. There is a point where nothing seems to be happening. No recognition. No praise. No apparent results. But everything is happening inside. Their mindset is honing. Their standards are increasing. Their tolerance for nonsense is zero. And then one day, the transformation is apparent. Their presence is felt more. Their words are more substantial. Their silence is more commanding. People begin to ask questions. When did you become so confident? When did you change? They don't know that the change happened quietly, a long time ago. Quiet confidence unsettles others. It does so because it doesn't have to explain itself. You can't read it well. You can't control it. You can't provoke it to respond. And that unpredictability is threatening. Quiet individuals don't make rash decisions. They think about the long term. They understand delayed gratification. They know that true growth multiplies slowly. They don't look for instant success. They lay foundations. They don't seek validation. They trust their process. Over time, silence forges one's identity. You start to hear your own voice better. You are less affected by noise. Less driven by trends. Less swayed by opinions. You stop feeling the need to prove anything. That's when silence ceases to be misunderstood and is instead respected. Not because you asked for it, but because you earned it. The most powerful changes occur quietly. They occur consistently. They occur patiently. And by the time the world catches up, the job is already done. Built in silence. But then, you begin to notice it. Your conversations seem shorter. Your energy feels different. People who used to feel comfortable around you now seem uncertain about how to react around you. And it's not because you've become arrogant. It's because you've become consistent. Psychology has a lot to say about this. When a person makes steady progress without fanfare or a need for recognition, it puts pressure on others to look at their own stagnation. And most people don't like mirrors that reflect what they're avoiding. Your hard work is uncomfortable for them. Your silence is loud. Your calm is perceived as judgment, even if you never said a word. This is when people's behavior changes. Some people will begin to downplay your progress. Some people will change the subject when you talk about your goals. Some people will suddenly remember your past mistakes, as if they're reminding you of your place. Not because you did something wrong, but because your progress is an inconvenience to their emotional equilibrium. There is a term in psychology called cognitive dissonance. It's what happens when reality conflicts with a person's self-image. And instead of changing themselves, people will often opt for the easier route, which is to change how they view you.
So they create distance. They point fingers. Or they behave erratically. This is why growth can be such an isolating experience. Not because you've lost people, but because you've outgrown versions of them that only existed when you were smaller. And here's the thing most people get wrong. This stage is not a punishment. It's a transition. Your nervous system is recalibrating. Your boundaries are clarifying. Your personality is evolving from reactive to deliberate. You're no longer a yes to chaos, drama, or emotional abuse. And other people can sense that, even if they can't quite put their finger on why. The most powerful personalities aren't the loudest. They don't broadcast change. They don't seek validation. They just operate in a different way. And that's what creates distance. But distance is not loss. It's alignment. Here's what no one tells you. The more centered you are, the less you feel the need to justify yourself. You stop defending your decisions. You stop proving your value. You stop correcting miscommunications that don't impact your future. Not because you're weak, but because your sense of self is no longer tied to external validation. This is a psychological indicator of self-validation. When your self-worth is validated internally, external noise no longer affects you. That's when silence becomes your greatest superpower. Silence is often confused with submission. But true silence is selective. It means, I don't owe everyone access. I don't need approval to move forward. I trust my direction enough to walk alone. And this is where your personality is forged. Not through confidence memes. Not through motivational posts. But through consistent choices to remain calm under pressure. To not react right away. To not seek closure. To not have to explain pain to people who don't listen.
Your nervous system associates safety with silence. Your mind associates focus. Your energy becomes weightier, without you having to raise your voice. This is why emotionally intelligent individuals are intimidating. They don't overshare. They don't rush connection. They don't spill insecurity. And this holding back unsettles those who need the turmoil of emotions to feel alive. If you're in this stage, where life is quieter, where there are fewer relationships, and where your own world is heavier, know this. You are not falling behind. You are consolidating. This is the stage where discipline replaces motivation. Clarity replaces noise. Identity replaces performance. And when you finally move into the next stage, people will say you changed overnight. They won't see the nights you kept quiet, the days you held back, the moments you didn't respond but reflected. And that's fine. Because the greatest changes are made in silence.